Okay, so for our lab today, we're going to be finding the density of some different objects. So here's our little tray that have our objects in it. So we've got a marble, we've got a little silver cube, I've got a crayon, I have a little colored glass little bead thing that you might see in a flower pot, and then I have a rock. So this rock right here is just a little old rock. So we're going to find the density of these substances. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to find the mass using this triple beam balance. And then we're going to immerse these odd-shaped objects into a graduated cylinder. And we're going to find the volume by displacement. So we're going to take an initial reading. We're going to put our object into the graduated cylinder. And we're going to take a final reading and we're going to subtract the final reading from the initial reading, and that's going to give us the volume of the object. So first thing we're going to do in our instructions on the lab here, it says to find the mass of each object. So that's what we're going to do. So I scooted this around because I want you guys to see what we're going to do first. So first we're going to find the mass of the silver cube. So I have my cube right here. Our scale is zeroed all across. I'm going to set my little cube on here, and then we're going to scoot the light one across. Oh, see how it's kind of moving a little bit? We'll kind of hang out right there, and I think we almost have it. Perfect. See how it's lined up right here? The line is all the way across. Okay, so it looks like the mass of the little silver cube is 5.5 grams. So I've recorded this on my table, and you're going to have all this information in the questions below. I just wanted you to see how we got this. So there is our silver cube. Next, we're going to do the little piece of colored glass. So we're going to do this one next. I zeroed out our scale. I'm going to set this right in the middle, and then we're going to slide this across just like we did last time. It's kind of moving a little bit. We'll wait till it gets even. Oh, I think we're almost there. A little bit back. Okay. It's still bouncing, but barely, and there we go. So the mass of this little colored glass is 5 grams. So I'm going to record that on my table. And next we're going to do the marble. So the marble might be an adventure because it tries to roll around on me a little bit. So don't laugh too hard, okay? I'm going to put the marble on here. Oh, and look at there. It's staying still. All right. Let's start scooting our deal across. Oh, it's moving. Okay, see how it's bouncing just barely right there? Okay, we've got a reading. I'm going to have to come over here and read it. We've got 8.1 grams for the marble. So I'm going to write 8.1 grams on my table. That's perfect. So next we're going to find the mass of the rock. I'm going to zero this back out. I'm picking my rock up, so here it is. I'll place it on there, and I'm going to scoot it on over. We'll see what the mass is. Oh, it's already bouncing. I think we're pretty close right there. Ooh, that's perfect. Okay, so our mass of the rock is 4.123. So the mass of the rock, I'm going to write 4.3 grams on my table. So we'll take that off. We'll zero our scale. And the last one we're going to do is the crayon. So here's my crayon. I'm going to set that up here, and we're going to find the mass of the crayon. So we'll scoot it on over. Oh, I think I went a little bit too far. Let's see. There we go. All right, so the mass of the crayon is 1, 2, 3. So 4.3 grams for the crayon too. So we've got two of them that are the same. So 4.3 grams. All right, so now comes the fun part. We're going to push this off to the side and bring our graduated cylinder over, okay? So now we're going to figure out what our initial volume is going to be for the first one. So I'm going to take some of my water and I'm going to fill up my little beaker here because I think it's going to be a little bit easier for me to pour. And I think I want to put about 30 milliliters of water in there. So I've got 30 milliliters of water right here. I'm going to put it in my graduated cylinder. There we go. And you can see that meniscus is lining a little bit less than. I guess I should have just used this to begin with. Okay, there we got it. Now we're sitting perfectly at 30 milliliters. So I'm going to write down 30 milliliters for my silver cube, okay, for the initial volume. So here's my cube. Now we're going to get the volume of it. So I'm going to tip my graduated cylinder over and I'm going to gently slide that in there. And then we're going to read this again and see what our final volume is going to be. So I've got 31, 32 is our final volume. So I'm going to put 32 milliliters on my chart right here. And like I said, I'm going to have this information for you whenever I ask the question. So I pour my water back in there. I've got a little paper towel that I'll drop my cube out on. There we go. And so now we've got our initial and our final volume for the cube. So I'm going to fill this back up and get ready for our next object. And I'm going to try to get 30 milliliters of water. There we go. Okay, so we've got 30 mils of water again. And next, we're going to do the colored glass. So here's our little piece of colored glass. We've got 30 milliliters of water in our graduated cylinder. I'm going to tip it to the side because I don't want to clack it around in there too much. And I'm just going to slide it in. Okay, you ready to take a reading? So we've got 32 milliliters again. So I'm going to put 32 on my table. So our initial volume and our final volume are both 30 and 32 for the piece of glass. There we go. I'm going to dump that back out on my paper towel and I'll put my 30 milliliters of water back in here because now we've got to find the volume of our marble. So here's our marble. I've got 30 milliliters still. I'm going to tip it and roll it in there kind of gently. I didn't want to splash. So now we've got a little bit of a change here. We've got 33. So our initial volume was 30 milliliters again. And we've got 33 as our final volume. Okay, we're just going to keep on trucking along. We've got our rock next. Uh-oh. That wasn't what I was hoping for. Get out of there. Okay, here we go. So I might have to add a little bit of water for the drips that I'm dumping out over here. So let me just a couple drops in there. That was too much. That's okay. We just need to know what our initial volume is. There, we got it. Okay, perfect. So there's 30 milliliters. Next, we're going to take the volume of our rock. So same as before, I'm going to tip it sideways. I'm going to gently slide my rock in there. And we'll see how much the volume rose. So we have 32 milliliters of water. So our initial volume was 30. And our final volume was 32 milliliters of water. So I'm going to pour this back out. I'm going to get my rock to come out. And then I'll put my water back in here because we got one more to do, and it's our crayon. So the crayon might be a little bit tricky because we need to make sure that it gets completely immersed in the water in order to take an accurate volume. So if I put this in that much water, is it going to be completely immersed? I don't know if you can see or not. See, the tip of the crayon is up over the water line. That might not work too good. So we're going to add a little bit more water. So we'll go up to, we got 36 milliliters of water. It's going to be our initial volume for this one. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this in there. We'll see what our volume is. Oh, and it floats. That's annoying. It's all right. I'm going to do this right here. Okay. Hang on. Let me reevaluate. Okay, so what I did, I flipped the crayon over, and it's under the water now, just barely. But I can see where the water rose up to. So I'm going to take this reading right here, and it is 41 milliliters. So our volume here for the crayon, our final volume, is 41 milliliters. Now, all that's left to do here is to do some math. So you guys remember the density formula, right? Density equals mass divided by volume. So the questions below are going to ask you about finding the mass for these items. I'm going to give you the initial volume, I'm going to give you the final volume, and I'll probably have you find the volume first and then find the density. Okay, so y'all are amazing. Keep up the good work, and there'll probably be a video below talking about the conclusion of this lab.